In 1941, Colonel von Bruckner and her French girlfriend, Marie Dujardin, are in a car in Aubagne, Route 44. When their driver stops for a quick stopover, a group of people ambushes them. One of those people checks Marie and sees the German gold in her bag, and then von Bruckner shoots them one by one. 3 years later, the French catch Marie and punish her for consorting with the enemy. They chop her hair off and mark a swastika on her forehead using lipstick to signify that she's a traitor. Later on, a ragtag group of American soldiers, together with Marie Hooded, come to a French cemetery where they're looking for the grave of von Bruckner. They meet a French man working in the cemetery and asks for it. When the man says they don't bury Germans there, they pull Marie and remove her hood. After checking the area, Corporal Chris orders his comrade, Vic, to get the man out of there and put him in the shack. Major Maitland then asks Marie where the grave is, but she can no longer remember. Maitland then tells her that she will tell them where the gold is because they're all allies now, whether they like it or not. Marie then says that the cemetery has changed and there is a lot more grave now, and then says she thinks it's the grave over the stream. Maitland then orders his boys to find some shovels and start digging. Meanwhile, Vic is with the Frenchman and offers him a cigarette. He then says that the French people are about to tar and feather Marie, so she begs the Americans to help her. In exchange for that, she promises the major she'll lead them to a buried treasure. He continues to say that Maitland is risking a court-martial if they get caught. On the other hand, Maitland offers Marie water and reminds her that they're not enemies. He also warns her that he'll not hesitate to kill her if he finds out she's fooling around. At the same time, Vic and the Frenchman continue their conversation, and Vic says he's from Harlem, New York City. Moments later, Jerry and Chris finish digging up the grave. Maitland then grabs Marie to look at the tomb to find out that there's no gold there. He then asks her again where the gold is, and she points out another grave. He then orders his men to dig the next tomb. On the other hand, Vic tells the Frenchman that he'll ensure he's safe if he keeps his mouth shut. He says that Maitland is a good person that just got lost along the way. But for Jerry and Chris, he has seen those two do inexcusable things in the name of war. Clement, the Frenchman's associate, comes to help him, starts stabbing Vic, and eventually kills him. The Frenchman says that Marie finally returned and that she's there because the gold is there. Clement then thinks of improvising and says that if she's there, she needs their help. Back with Jerry and Chris, they finish digging the second grave but still find no gold. Marie then says that she thought it was that grave and explains that it was already a long time and dark back then. Chris suggests getting a metal detector, but Maitland disagrees. Marie then says that she's trying to see it in her head like it was that night. But Jerry comes to her and says that she's a liar and a trickster. He continues to say that he believes there's no gold in that cemetery. Maitland then stands up, and Marie points to another grave, saying she's sure this time. Alternatively, Clement starts with his plan and asks the Frenchman to take cover and lay down when he starts to hear the shooting. On the other side, they also didn't find any gold on the third grave, causing Jerry to get mad and vent. He says Marie is trying to take them on a wild goose chase. Then they see a soldier, thinking it's Vic, leaving his post, so Maitland then commands Chris to check what's going on. Chris then goes to him, and when he sees him up close, it's not Vic but Clement. The Frenchman then shoots, and Clement starts firing at Chris. Chris takes cover as he's wounded, then Jerry comes to him and asks for a grenade. Then, he throws it, and it chops off the Frenchman's hand when it explodes. Maitland then asks Marie if she's trying to set them up, but she says she doesn't know them and is not with them. He then says they're under strict orders not to get involved with any reprisal, but because she asked for help and told them she would show them where they hid the gold, they made an exception for her. Then, the Frenchman on the ground grabs his rifle and shoots at Chris. Jerry immediately comes to Chris while Maitland goes to the Frenchman and kills him. Jerry, mad as he sees Chris die in his arms, runs to Marie with a knife while telling Maitland that he's tired and done listening to her. But Maitland tells him to think of their two good men who died digging for the gold, and one of Marie's died defending it. Then, he orders Jerry to tie her up, and they will look for the tunnel rat. And then, Jerry throws a grenade into the tunnel hole where Clement went. On the other hand, Clement, who's crawling underground, sees a vision of George, his dead friend. George is telling him that the war is over, and it's time for him to start living. Clement then says he's not giving up and will find the Americans and kill them, but he then says that Marie will get him killed and betray him again. Meanwhile, they tie Marie as Maitland starts to dig another grave. She then starts reciting a poem to Maitland about a soldier and recalls a memory of her and von Bruckner in bed and talking about their plans with the gold bars. After a while, Jerry receives a report that Company Strength 2nd SS is headed due south via Route 44. 2 days earlier, a soldier told von Bruckner that they couldn't surrender to the Bolsheviks because they would kill them because of their uniforms and blood tattoos. Von Bruckner then said there were several escape routes over the Central Pyrenees to northern Spain, where they would find a safe place and have time to decide what to do. He also said those that wish to might join him, and those that don't can do as they please. Presently, Jerry informs Maitland that the company's 2nd SS will be coming down on top of them. Maitland then forces Marie to tell them where the gold is by Jerry putting skulls on top of her head. Then he shoots them and will not stop until she speaks. Marie then says she'll show them where the grave is and give them their gold. She asks them to untie her and explains that they will understand her when she tells them the story behind it. She then narrates that when von Bruckner and her are planning, she knows that von Bruckner intends to be at the cemetery at 10:30, so she writes a note. The housekeeper will pass her message to the resistance to set up an ambush to take back the gold. She reveals that the people who ambushed them are the resistance and that when they came close to her to see the gold, she tells them that she's with them and is also part of the resistance. Then they continued their plan to hide the gold in the cemetery. And then, she seduces von Bruckner for her to be able to reach his gun and then shoots him. She then carries his body, puts it in the grave, and runs. Marie says that the resistance was supposed to be waiting at the cemetery that night, but since they weren't there, she had to do it alone. And when she left, the SS arrested her and told her she had no right to be there, then threw her in Ravensbrück prison for 3 years. Currently, Maitland unties her, and she says that the grave belongs to her family, who are farmers and couldn't hurt anyone, that von Bruckner murdered. They then went to the tomb and saw the bag of gold. After that, Jerry insists that even if they found the gold, she's still lying because there's no corpse in that grave. She said that was impossible because she shot von Bruckner herself and showed them the bullet case. Suddenly, Clement shows up and tells Marie to get the gold, and he starts a gunfight. Marie then talks to Clement, saying that the ambush was supposed to be in the cemetery, not on the road, and she waited for 3 years for them. Clement says it wasn't his fault. The Marquis were afraid they would be compromised, so they moved the ambush to Highway 44. Jerry catches Marie off guard and asks Clement to surrender. Maitland then tells them they will let them both live and give them a piece of the gold if they help them kill the Germans. Clement then agrees to work with them, so they start planning an ambush. They lay out their ammunition with 15 minutes left to prepare, then plant explosives on the ground in their vehicle. Maitland hands Marie a rifle and tells her to trust her instincts to survive. After their conversation, Marie wants to shoot Maitland when he's about to leave, but she hesitates. While waiting for the Germans, Jerry converses with Marie about his regrets since he signed up for the war. He claims that he joined Maitland because he's his friend and that the army signed them up because they needed mature leaders with characters of men. On the other hand, Clement sees a vision of George again telling him that the Americans will not share the gold with him and that they will shoot him and bury him with the Krauts. Minutes later, the Germans arrive, and Maitland, Jerry, Clement, and Marie hold on to their positions. Clement then activates the bombs, and the exchange of fire starts. After that, he goes inside one of the tunnel holes, but when he reaches the other side, von Bruckner is there and shoots him. As the firefight ensues, von Bruckner comes across Marie and shoots her in her leg. On the other hand, Jerry fights hand in hand with a German, and although he defeats him, the stab wounds he gets are severe, causing him to be unable to resist. Maitland then comes to him and tells him that he called for a backup and told them there are Germans in their location, so if they don't call them back with an all clear, they will bomb the whole cemetery. After Maitland leaves, von Bruckner comes near. Jerry shoots but doesn't hit him, so von Bruckner kills him. Later, von Bruckner wants to discuss a truce with Maitland. He claims that Marie always had a thing for a man in uniform who would fight and kill for her. He also says that she only uses Maitland, so he must practice extreme caution with her because all she wants is to achieve her end. Then, she'll stab him in the back or put a bullet in his head. Marie then speaks that von Bruckner's luck has already ran out, to which von Bruckner replies that it warms his heart to listen to her voice again, that the last time he heard her voice, she shot him in the face and left him to die. Maitland then stops their reunion to inform them that he told their Air Force control about their situation. If they don't get the all clear in about 4 minutes, they have orders to bomb the whole graveyard. So he proposes that they put their guns down, and they all will get a little piece of the gold, then part ways. Von Bruckner is about to put his gun down, but Marie says there will be no more deals and shoots at Maitland. Von Bruckner then tells her they can be together again, but instead, she fires at him, causing him to shoot and hit her in her shoulder. On the other hand, the Air Force control doesn't receive a call, so they deliver their payload. Marie then comes near von Bruckner, and while they're kissing, she pulls out her knife and stabs him to death. She then uses his body as a cover while the Air Force is bombing the cemetery. After that, Marie survives, puts the gold back in the grave, and then leaves the cemetery. The movie then states that Marie Dujardin moved to Paris in 1947, married an architect, and had 3 children. She rarely spoke about the war and never came back to the cemetery. Later in 1997, she died surrounded by her loved ones. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe my channel for more videos like this. See you in the next video.